What's good with it? In the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips. We get it in. That's that KO. That's that double up, bubble up, right? Now trip out. Before we even get into that, man, shout outs, respects to the Food and Felons channel. Make sure you guys tap in. The Dubs channel, make sure that you guys definitely double tap in. And make sure that you tap into Trap Island Records to show some support to the raza that's up and coming on YouTube, man. Let's make it happen for the peoples. You already know what it is. Now, like, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel so that way you get notified of all the content that I'm bringing, man. Hit that notification bell. Let's make it happen. Bang, bang. There it is. Let's get it. So, as you see by that thumbnail, I want to talk about one of the homies, Guero D. Guero D from Oakland. This is what we called him. They actually called him D from Oakland, but I gave him the name Guero D. It's what I call him. Now, there is another Guero D, you know, out of the same area. This is not that guy. This was a homeboy D from Oakland. Actually was from the city of Hayward. I come to find out later on, but was hollering Oakland when he was in Merced. Now, this individual right here, there's just some people when you're doing a Norteno thing, right? When you're in the mix, there's some people that come into town and try to set up shop, and they might know somebody. They might know the who's who of who's doing whatever they're doing right there in the town. And people trip. People are going to flex up. One thing about the city of Merced is if someone came in and tried to set up shop or establish, we're going to run up, homes. We're going to want to know who the fuck you are, who sent you, right? We're going to want to know exactly the reason why you're there trying to do what you does in the town if you're not from there. You know, and that goes for anywhere. You know, if you try to go set up shop in any other place, man, it's not going to work out quite well for you unless you are that one. But then there's some cats that are unapproachable. Some cats that are just standoffish that are going to let you have it before you could even get there. Before you could even hit them up and ask them if they're active, non-active, why are they here? What are they trying to encompass? What is going on, right? Boom, boom, beep, 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 boop. And it ends as quick as it started. Now with this guy, he was well respected. He came in with a lot of respect and he came in with the notoriety, okay? He was notorious in his willings and dealings and what he had did. And he had elevated his status within the Norteno cause to being somebody, okay? He was considered a bro at that time. He was an hermano. He was from Nuestra Raza. He was known. So I remember my first willings and dealings with them. The homeboy Porky had called me and was like, hey, bro, I need you to come to this spot. I need to borrow some feria, drop it out. I got you. Sasuke, don't trip. I'm doing my thing. And up until that point, I was doing my thing as a Norteno, but I wasn't really in the mix. I wasn't politicking like that. My thing was more so if I seen a Sureño, he seen me, we're going to get off where we're at. Or if anyone from the other side, because there was a lot of red on red going on at that times. That's just how it was, you know. But I remember the homeboy calling me and he was like, hey, bro, can you slide through? Loan me a little snifty, right? A little 55th Street and I'll get you back. Everything's going to see all right, cuz, later on. Or maybe the day after later on, right? And so I already knew, man, I didn't have it coming back. But fuck it, the homie needs it, I got it, right? So I slid through to the other side of town. Now, I remember when going to the other side of town, you have to understand for so many years, we were at odds with the north side. For so many years, there was a lot of friction and beef. There was a lot of guerra between us and the north side of Merced. So anytime I went, it was automatic swivelization. Swivelization and swivelization. Swivelization and swivelization. I was on my shit. Guard! I had to pay attention. Because if I didn't pay attention, motherfuckers will bot me. They'll boom bat me, right? That's where I got shot in the head on the north side. Wasn't by no Nortenos. It was by some creepas. But at the end of the day, that's just how it goes. So I remember going over there and wiggling. And I get to a spot. And I go to a homegirl's pad. And when I walk in, I feel like I'm walking into old Folsom. Right? Vatos mustaches are so thick, I can't see through them. They put some shellac on it, right? Whole bunch of high-powered brocheros in the house, right? Vatos that look like they straight are functioning like a motherfucker, right? Now, I don't know if you've ever been around real high-powered cats, but you could tell veteranos when you see them. You could tell vatos that are in the mix. So I was like, man, these vatos ain't from Merced. Oh, Sasuke, this is different. These vatos look a little quite, they must be from Salas, right? So walking in, I get introduced all the way around to some homeboys from San Fran, Salas, and of course, this vato from Oakland. And we hit it off, homes. It was something about the way I approached him with respect and the way he acted with charisma. And I could tell he was that one in the room. So you know what right there? That's the biggest fish to fry in this room, right? He was the one in that room. He was functioning. He was running things. He was establishing a regiment within the city of Merced. He was that man. He was placed there to establish and open up some line of communication with all other people. It gets deep, it gets political, it is what it is, right? So I get to meet these guys, and you got to understand, even being allowed to come into this pad at that time, You know, that meant I was a righteous northerner. I was a righteous Norteno. I was being allowed to step into something that I wasn't part of quite yet. I was being allowed to see how the homeboys got down. You know, I was what we called back in the days, a trusted northerner, right? A trusted Norteno, someone who they felt, man, was Sasuke, they needed $50 too. Out of all these rockers right there and big ass mustaches, I don't know how many Just for Men was used to dye them, right? Motherfuckers needed $50. Or maybe just the homeboy was on the pook. Anyways, I walk in, bam, shoot the homeboy the 50, and I start chopping up with this Guero D from Oakland. And he starts to get at me, man, have you ever thought about this? And have you ever thought about that? It's like this. It was like a fucking nothing but a G-Thing song. And I told him, yeah, I've always been striving. I've strived for the betterment of the people and for education. And all this, ever since I was a kid, man, I put in my work. I went down south. I handled my business. I came back. I put in my work. I've been doing my thing, you know, quite frequently all the time, right? But nowadays, I'm kind of family man. But at the same time, man, if the homeboys need me, I'm there. I never hesitated to pull up. I never hesitated to fuck with the homies because I was active. That's what activities do. Active doesn't just mean you're out there in the streets letting people have it. That could be part of it, right? But active also means the participation and the love for the homies, the canalismo. If the homies need you, you got them. If someone writes you from the pinta, you fucking write them back. Homies, you pick up that phone and answer that collect call. There was a whole lot of things going on, and being active meant you were actively engaged with the homeboys and what was going on with the gente in the town. So anyways, I'm doing my thing, right? So he starts to feed me some education and get at me, and he likes me, takes a liking to me. And I took a liking to him because at the time, this individual, man, was that one. So I started to hear whispers when I left that pad, you know, the homeboys said, don't tell anyone you were over here because if you do, we're going to shoot you. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to threaten you, but at the same time. So I said, no, it's good. I ain't going to tell no one because see, if you're trying to come, I'm going to shoot you. You know what I mean? So, bam, we worked that out between us. I jammed, didn't tell none of the homeboys, but I started to inquire, who is this guy, right? And I started to hear his name around the town. And see, my neighborhood in Merced is one of the bigger neighborhoods, one of the most notorious and well-known, or at that time was the one. Now, the boys are wiggling, but at that time, dead end was the shit, right? So, anyone who would come into the town to try to sit down or set up shop would go through us. They would fuck with us. Not go through us. It wasn't like we were telling them, Charlie, get out of here, right? But more so as in, you know, hey, we worked hand in hand. The lottery was the bigger one of the town. So he started to hang around with a lot of my homeboys. I'd see him in traffic and passing, and he started to invite me a lot of places or show up to a lot of places I was at. So hey, push comes to shove. Long story short, I find out that he's the one, he's controlling the town. He's running the shit, you know, at the behest of someone else, one of the generals that were locked up from the who's who of the fucking who's who, right? So I start to kick it tough. And I started to slowly be pulled and slowly groomed, right, into what was going on. And I was all in. This was an achievement that I had strived for. This was something I was going towards, you know, being that one, being part of an exclusive brotherhood or brothership, you know, being included in the reindeer games. Because, man, a lot of people think they're functioning Norteños. They think they're functioning Southsiders or whatever, but you're really not into it like you think you are. You know, in most parts, you'll be utilized or you're just a homie with the flag on the corner, freezing your ass off like the Donnie Brasco movie. But those that are really in, and you get to indulge, man. You get that rock star status. You get to be looked at as somebody, as a big homie. The people start to recognize all the work that you've put in, all the respect that you've gained throughout the system, throughout your lifetime has come back tenfold. So that's what I was striving for. I know in reality, man, now as a grown man, none of it meant shit really. Because look how I ended up. I got thrown out like yesterday's caca, right? You know, hey, flies everywhere. Flies always frequent around someone when they're the shit. So now, me and this dude get to doing things. And there's a lot of things unspoken that I can't speak on that we indulged in or we fucking, you know, we were putting in that work, man. He was the homie. Every time he needed me, I would be right there. But then there started to become whispers about him. I didn't know if people were hating on him. I don't know if people were telling truths, but I knew somewhere along the line it switched up. There was a lot of people that were like, Charlie Holmes, that Valto ain't what he's cracked up to be, or that Valto's a greedy individual. Now, I can tell you one time. So, back in them days, everyone had knocks. Okay, if you don't know what a knock is, knock at my door and I'll give you the knowledge you can't get in college. Everyone had knocks, tricks. Everyone had motherfuckers that would spend with them, right? And if you were out there in the dope game, if you were really pushing that, you had your customers that came and fucked with you tough all the time, repeat offenders. And I had a few of them on the West, and this Valto had set up enough to establish a few knocks himself. So one day I pull up to that same spot, man. I was invited, so I come, and when I pull up, he's not there. Guero's not there, right? So this fucking knock comes up a patient. We used to call them patients in Merced because they wanted that medicine. And he's like, hey, where's D at? And I'm like, he ain't here, bro. Why? What's cracking? He's like, man, I need me a little pelota because I'm scared the way the game works and the way my wallet's working right now. Is I got a little 160, but so I'm trying to spam with you. Fuck with me. He's all fucking sick, man. Right? I said, fuck it, I looked around because one thing you don't want to do is step on anyone's toes. And especially someone that's in position to fuck with your career. You don't want to step on their toes, home. So I'm looking around. So I said, what'd you say, 160? I usually go for 171, you know what I mean? The way the wiggle works. So bam, I got it off, right? It is what it is. That was a long time ago in the statute of limitations. Get it off. Vato goes on his merry-go-round way. You know, he's like a Keith Sweat song. He's on the merry-go-round and round. He's gone, and I'm happy. But D pulls up, and he's like, hey, come here, fool, right? And that dude's mobbing. Don't. You gotta buy dope from us, right? And he's getting his mob on. And the homie's like, come here, fool, right? And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm scared. What am I going to do here? Well, I knew what to do, right? What to do was forward that feria to the homeboy before he acts a fool and just chalk it up as a loss. That's not being a man. That's just the way it is, homie. You don't fuck with the big homie's money. You know what I mean? You got laced and learned that in the game. That was well educated into your system, right? If you didn't know that, use a poop button. So he's telling him, hey, what's up, fool? What you need? The fool's like, no, I already got it from the homie right here. We're cool, man, but I'll be back tonight. I got you, right? Tweaker shit. And the homie's like, oh, you got him, huh? I said, well, see how do you spell get him? Right? Because I didn't get him like that. Anyways, bro, look, I got your federal right here. He was like, no, I charge 190, homie. I said, but the vato only had. He was like, yeah, well, you're gonna have to come up with my shit. I said, so Sasuke, let me look at this. Let me hold. So I'm getting burnt for my shit. Plus, I gotta pay this man's shit. Plus, this man's gonna. All right, I got you. I got you, right? $30 ain't gonna hurt my pockets. So anyways, it's good. But that showed me right there the way the homeboy was. All that, we're cool, we're friends, we're putting in work, we're doing dirt, we're at the parties, we're knocking BIs like the Rubber Band Man TIs. We're doing all this together. Didn't mean shit, homes. Money will come before friendship in the game. Money is the root of all evil. That's all that mattered, homes. That's all that mattered to that man, was that I overstepped my boundaries, that I fucking put myself in a position to basically fucking go behind his back. That's how he felt. So now I started to be very alert and aware of this guy. He had snake tactics. He had culebra tactics. You know, what was he going to say about me behind my back? I didn't speak on him behind his back. We were cool, right? I thought it was all good. I was striving to be that man just like him. And usually when someone's striving to be that man and you're that man, you don't want him to be. You know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. So there could be some fucking wiggleization coming into play here, some sabotaging. So getting at the homies, I go to county jail. And I start to hear whispers about his name. Now, I told the story before, where here it goes one time again, just a little snippet. There was a vato in there from Oakland that gets in there. Righteous. I'm cell security at that time, meaning I maintain that cell. I got put into position by a homeboy loquito. Now I'm in position, right? And it's not no big, heavy position within the COC, but in our county jail, man, cell security, you run that cell. So everything's smooth in our cell. I wanted to maintain because whatever happens there goes on my resume in my career, right? So everything's good. I check paperwork. Everything's smooth. And this vato from Oakland seems like a righteous dude, and he's real cool with the homeboy D, who's in there too in the county. And they're chopping up. It's his homeboy. He knows him from the town, woke to woke, town business. Oakland, Oak. You know what I'm saying, man? Oakland. And they're kicking it. Come to find out, that dude was in there on some fucking bad charges. He was a chomo. He was an SPMer, right? Eventually his fucking filth is found out, and I've told the whole story about what happens. But D allowed that to happen. He gave that fool a ghetto pass just based on he was from his town and he knew him. Okay, well, that right there set off a chain of events that would become his demise. So this guy would berate Northerners. I used to always fucking hate that. I used to hate Nortenos that were pooled, right? They were big homies. And they would berate Northerners, utilize them, use them, treat them like they were less than, when everybody is equal. See, I was taught everybody's the same, homie. Someone might be in a position of leadership because they might have the verbalization skills or the education, or they've been more places, or they just met the right person and got put in that right position. But at the end of the day, bro, for the most part, you know, everybody is the same. Everybody is in branch and unit. Everybody is striving for that same goal, and that's to establish on the yard so we have a safe place to lay our heads, you know, and so the Southerners don't oppress us, or the blacks don't oppress us, or the whites. The Woods, brother. Our oppression game is tough. Coffee, crank, and oppression. Oi! Right? So We don't want that to happen. This guy used to oppress the homeboys, talk down on them, you know, put people on freeze, talk shit if he didn't like the way you looked. And he was actually having bundles of mecos and having people hoop that and go to Tracy with it and laughing about it like it was funny. That's the type of dude he was, right? So when we found out his filth and what he was doing, I guess he had gotten into some trouble in the Bay Area, and that was the reason why he was sat down in Merced. He was owing some cleanups. He was just not in a good position, man. He shouldn't have never been there. And although everyone did do their due diligence and he was cleared, he was righteous, he just wasn't a good man. He wasn't a good person, especially not someone to put up under, you know. And this guy ultimately ends up going to Tracy, you know, DVI, and he gets whacked. He gets removed, man. And then he ends up going to the SNY yards. And again, man, he's doing that. He thinks he's too cool. You know, he thinks he's bad. And they move on him a few different times. You know, these type of individuals, these bandidos, these ones that are able to snake into the fold, man, always get put in these leadership roles where they think they could oppress people. The oppressed become the oppressor, right? You know, this guy, Guero D, I will say this, Holmes, was in some aspects, you know, very laced up in the game and knew his shit, but didn't utilize it for the betterment of the people. Didn't care about the raza. Didn't care about the homies. Didn't care about the Norteno cause. All he cared about was money and dope and women, right? Sometimes. This Vato was a trip. You know, eventually I heard the story about him getting whacked, and it didn't blow my mind. I didn't go, oh shit, Spencer. I didn't. With this guy, you know, usually even if I don't like you, man, in the case of people that even wolf on me, I ain't got nothing bad to say about it. That's not my style, right? I'll just be like, you know, it is what it is. Time moves on. But with this guy right here, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I seen that one coming. You know, he was already he shed a bad light on his name. See, a lot of people don't understand that. Most of the things that you do in life, there's repercussions for your actions. Hey, you make your bed, you gotta lie in it, right? So he definitely laid in his bed in a pool of blood, and they got him. Now, Tracy was the place you didn't want to go to if you had smut on your name, dirt on your name, or the homeboys were tripping. I've seen plenty of things happen. I remember one young homeboy was next door to me. He was from Sanjo, right? Good little homie, man. He was doing 55 years. He had killed a Southerner, right? He was striving, man. He didn't know much, but he was striving within the fold, you know, within the household. He was cleared. He was cool. And another Vato had got there from Modesto. Now, this Vato from Modesto was high-powered. He was a bro as well. And he wanted to be sold up with the homeboy that little homeboy from Sanjo was with. So he was like, hey, bro, you need to fucking move out of the cell. The youngster didn't even know how. How do I move out? Do I write a wheelout? What do I do? I know I'm not supposed to write wheelouts to move. And so he was putting a catch-22 about this. I don't give a fuck, Holmes. You need to get on down the road. That's it, right? So that Vato, right? I tried to get at the placa for him. He knocks on my door. He's like, hey, bro, fucking, or my wall. He's like, hey, you know, the homie wants to move. I said, yeah, I'll try to get at the placa. So I tell the placa, hey, can you come to my door? He's like, I ain't got time for all that. So the homeboy don't get moved the next day. This Vato comes out. He gets frustrated, goes to his door. What happened, bro? You know what I mean? I told you to do this. You know, I told you, not can you or please. Or, hey, bro, the casa is asked highly if you could do this. It's asked, you know what I mean? Like it used to be asked. No, it was, I told you. Like he was in a leadership role, right? He just pulled up, bro, off that got that out. It slept for his 3 days. See, we used to have a 3-day time period where we could sleep it off. If you're coming from the streets on a violation, they're about to sleep, right? While the little homeboy's in there doing burpees and shit like he's supposed to. Guess what? He came out of that cell, and guess what? They put 19 fucking holes in him right there on the fucking tira. All because he didn't want to move cells. When someone's got to come in, they do, and sometimes you don't. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the story, man. Guero D, a despicable human being and individual that at the end of the day might not have did me bad, but I knew it was coming, eh? And they got him before they got me. It's what it is. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle and tell you all these authentic, factual stories, man. Listen, you're going to hear gems. It's what I does, cuz. Bang, bang. This is the gun. Respects. Gente.